For most of human history, we looked up at the night sky and saw something still, eternal, and unchanging. We believed the universe was a fixed, static stage on which our lives played out. But then, in the 20th century, science discovered something that shattered this ancient belief, something truly shocking. The universe isn't still at all, it's expanding. The stars were fixed in their positions, and the galaxies, those fuzzy patches of light, were just part of our own Milky Way, sitting quietly in space. It was a comfortable, predictable idea. But then, scientists like Edwin Hubble began observing distant galaxies, and they noticed something strange. The light from these galaxies was stretched out, a phenomenon called redshift. And the farther away a galaxy was, the more its light was stretched. There was only one logical explanation for this. Everything was moving away from everything else. It wasn't that galaxies were flying through a static space like shrapnel from an explosion. Instead, space itself was stretching, carrying the galaxies along with it. Imagine dots on the surface of a balloon. As you inflate the balloon, every dot moves away from every other dot, not because they are crawling across the surface, but because the surface itself is expanding. This is our universe, a dynamic, growing, evolving entity. This idea, born from careful observation and mathematics, became the foundation of modern cosmology. It tells us that the universe had a beginning and that it has been expanding ever since. It's a concept that is both profoundly simple and mind-bogglingly complex. It turned our view of a quiet, eternal cosmos on its head, replacing it with a picture of a vibrant, ever-changing universe. Now, let's pause for a moment and step away from the telescopes and equations. I want to share something from a different source of knowledge, a text that is over 1,400 years old. In the Qur'an, in a chapter called The Winnowing Winds, there is a short, simple verse. It says, "And the heaven we constructed with strength, and indeed, we are its expanders." The original Arabic word used here is mis'an, which carries the meaning of making something wider, more spacious, of expanding it. For centuries, commentators on the Qur'an have pondered the meaning of this verse. Some interpreted it as a sign of God's immense power and generosity, that He created the heavens with vastness and provides for His creation abundantly. And that is a beautiful and valid interpretation. But in the light of modern science, this verse takes on a new layer of meaning for many people. The idea of an expanding heaven, a cosmos that is actively being made more spacious, resonates powerfully with what astronomers discovered only a century ago. The purpose here is not to start a proof war or to claim that this verse is a scientific equation hidden in ancient text. That's not the point. The Qur'an itself states it is not a book of science, but a book of signs of ayahs. These signs are meant to lead us to reflection, so when we encounter a verse like this, the invitation isn't to argue, but to wonder, to feel a sense of awe that a description from the 7th century so beautifully mirrors a discovery of the 20th. It is an invitation to connect the knowledge of the seen world with the wisdom of the unseen. So why does this connection matter? Why is it more than just a cool coincidence? It matters because it speaks to the very purpose of the Qur'an. It tests not meant to be a science textbook that gives us formulas for gravity or the speed of light. If it were, it would be outdated with every new discovery. Instead, the Qur'an encourages a certain mindset, a state of constant thinking, questioning, and observing the world around us. It repeatedly asks, will you not reflect? Will you not use your reason? It points to the alternation of night and day, the rain that gives life to the earth, the stars in their orbits, and says, look at these things. Think about them. These are all ayahs, signs. Just as the verses of the book are signs, the phenomena of the natural world are also signs. They all point to a magnificent creator, to a purpose and wisdom behind the curtain of reality. So, when we find a harmony between a sign in the book and a sign in the universe, it doesn't prove the book is true in a scientific sense. Instead, it validates the book as core method, that reflecting on creation is a pathway to understanding the Creator. The goal is an argument. It's awe. It's about cultivating a heart that sees the fingerprint of the divine in the unfolding fabric of the cosmos. This is why the approach is reflection over argument, and this perspective isn't just for Muslims. Many non-Muslim researchers, historians, and scientists have been genuinely surprised and intrigued when they encounter verses like this. Not because they are looking to convert, but because it challenges their assumptions about ancient texts. It sparks curiosity. Why would a 7th century desert dweller talk about the heavens expanding? Where did this idea come from? This curiosity often leads them to study the Qur'an and the history of Islam more deeply, not as a religious text to be believed, but as a historical and intellectual document that has profoundly shaped human civilization. It shows them that the perceived conflict between faith and science is not a necessity. In the Islamic intellectual tradition, science was seen as an act of worship, a way to better understand God's creation. The pursuit of knowledge was a religious duty. This is a powerful idea. It suggests that faith doesn't require you to shut down your brain. On the contrary, it can be the very thing that fuels your quest for knowledge, your curiosity, and your desire to understand the magnificent universe we live in. It's a bridge, not a barrier. Thinking about this vast, expanding universe has another powerful effect. It humbles us. When you stand under a clear night sky, far from the city lights, and you truly comprehend that each tiny dot of light is the sun, many of them far larger than our own, likely with their own planets, and that all of this is just in our own galaxy, which is just one of billions of galaxies hurtling away from each other in an ocean of expanding space. It changes you. Suddenly, our personal problems, our ego, our sense of self-importance all seem to shrink. How can you hold on to arrogance when faced with such incomprehensible vastness? You are standing on a tiny speck of dust, orbiting an average star, in a forgotten corner of an ordinary galaxy. This realization isn't meant to make us feel insignificant or worthless. Quite the opposite. It's meant to strip away the false pride that clouds our hearts. It leads to a profound sense of humility, and from that humility, a sense of gratitude is born. Gratitude for this moment of existence, for the consciousness that allows us to witness this cosmic spectacle. The awareness of our smallness gives rise to an appreciation for the greatness of that which created it all. It's a spiritual recalibration. The Qur'an doesn't ask us to fear the universe or to feel crushed by its immensity. It doesn't present the cosmos as a cold, meaningless void. It asks us to look at it, to study it, and to reflect on it. It presents the universe as a sign, a message written in the language of stars and galaxies. The expansion of the universe isn't just a physical process. It's a continuous act of creation, a sign of a living, dynamic power that is constantly shaping reality. It's an invitation to see the universe not as a random accident, but as a purposeful, awe-inspiring work of art. And we, in our brief moment of life, are the privileged witnesses. The final question isn't about what science can prove or what religion can claim. The final question is personal. What does this vast, beautiful, expanding universe make you feel? Thanks for watching.